Yeah, I mean, I understand the fan base being a little bit on edge considering everything that has happened with the Wander Franco situation. So it's like not ideal timing in the sense of just that super fresh in everybody's mind.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And I am Evan Closky.
Back again, and we appreciate it, bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs or Carl Crawford,
we're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 6th season covering the Rays daily.
Every season they've made the playoffs, hopefully again. So grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
This episode of Locked On Rays is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah, the right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today.
We are pleased to be joined by Evan Closky, pulling crazy duty lately, as am I correct that Bucks training camp is afoot and that you have multiple sports you have to cover now?
Yeah, that's the way of a life for you, boy. You just wait till end of September where we have the bolts that get thrown into the mix too. So,
all right, you're not digging wastewater lines here. You're watching football and baseball and talking.
Hey, I'm not complaining about my job. I'm just saying that it's more than meets the eye sometimes.
That's right.
You cook and clean is what they say. So,
essentially,
yeah, inside joke there. All right, what is going on with Yandy Diaz? Is there any indication if and when he'll return, being placed on the restricted list for a personal matter? His absence certainly is noted and noticeable, and I know we shouldn't go crazy with what folks say on Twitter and X, but fan base is kind of concerned about what's going on right
now. Until there's reason to be overly concerned, I'm just going to take it at face value. I mean, in life, I think a lot of times rumors and assumptions and all these things can get the best of you, and you can really make a wrong turn when you don't have to. Maybe some people out there are correct, but until I hear otherwise, Yandy has a personal matter. We have to really respect the privacy in those moments as much as we think that we deserve to know more. Ultimately, it's left out of the public, and he's away from the team for a reason. And until there's reason to be more, I guess, pessimistic or reasons to be more concerned, I don't really take it to that point. The man it's the equivalent of if you're working and you've used up all your PTO days and you have nothing left, right? So he's not getting paid. Obviously, it has to be pretty important for him to be away from the team after an all-star break, nonetheless, when he was coming off just an absolute heater at the plate.
Yeah.
But, I won't – obviously he's not going to be a part of any of this road trip, and the questions will, I think, resurface once the Rays return home on Friday.
I was telling Kevin, it reminded me of in 2019 when Jose Alvarado was missing for a month and he was placed on the restricted list, and it was because of his mom being sick in Venezuela. So, we don't know, but it does sound like that, personal matter. I mean, that it could be anything, right? But the way that the Rays handled that situation before, it just makes you think that it might be something like that. But hopefully it gets solved soon because, like you said, Evan, oh my goodness, he was hot at the plate. And right now, Randy Arozarena and Brendan Lowe are hitting the heck out of the ball. And you're kind of wanting, Yandy to pick it up where he left off. But how long does he need to kind of get back on that level?
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine there's going to be some sort of grace period where he's going to get back into action and have to get his timing back right. He's an exceptional hitter. I'm assuming that he's training and, working out and doing the things that he has to do in the meantime away. But yeah, I understand the fan base being a little bit on edge considering everything that has happened with the Wander Franco situation. So it's like not ideal timing in the sense of just that super fresh in everybody's minds.
Yeah.
But, Yandy is a pro's pro. And, I'm not going to think that he's going to just drop to a 180 hitter because he hasn't seen pitching for a little bit. But yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a rust period, I would imagine, just because he is human.
Yeah.
Follow up to that. Maybe the Rays have some inner workings as to how long Yandy Diaz will be out of the picture, knowing that if there's an indication that he could miss several weeks, multiple weeks, extended period of time past the trade deadline, do you think that maybe tells them or directs them to, all right, let's trade off some assets because without Yandy Diaz, it is going to be tougher for us to win games and make the playoffs and damage in the playoff?
I mean, to an extent, look, you of course need Yandy Diaz to make any sort of playoff push here. The hitting on his team just simply isn't good enough, and he's one of your best hitters. Having said that, the odds of them even making a playoff push in the first place are not in their favor, right? The team it's not a want. They need to go on a stretch where they win 6 or 7 or 8 in a row, or at least like 7 of 8 or 8 of 10, multiple 4-game winning streaks with a loss in between.
Yeah.
The team has shown really zero ability to have any sort of will to win 3 in a row, let alone get to 4. It's been a long time since we've seen 4 in a row. They can't sweep an opponent. I don't think outside of the Mets series and the Marlins 2-gamer, I don't think they've swept an opponent all year. So
that kind of throws in the face of what we've said before of, hey, all you have to do is win series, win series, win series. How many series have the Rays won of late and still they can't inch above 500?
The problem is if you win a series, see, like in a vacuum, that makes sense. But then you have to win every series.
Yeah.
And the fact is, when you get swept in Texas, you just negated 2 of the wins in the series because you lost 3 in a row. Mm-hmm. So, you win 2 or 3, you win 2 or 3, you win 2 or 3, you lose 3 in a row. You just completely negated 2 of the previous wins because those are essentially now that's a series loss when you have to spread it out, and you're right back down to square one. So that's what it is. It's like, yeah, theoretically speaking, if the Rays win every 3-game series the rest of the way, and they split every 4-game series the rest of the way, and let's say they split the Miami Marlins series, that's a 2-gamer, then yeah, they're going to be on the right track. But are they able to do that consistently to where they don't falter or they don't lose one? No, it's unrealistic, which is why they need an outlier in the whole permutation here, which is they got to win 7 in a row. And if they win 7 in a row, you will most likely gain at least 3 games in that stretch. And when you gain 3 games, now you're back in the race. And now you can start talking about, hey, just win a series, do the bare minimum, all this type of stuff, right? Like, You don't have to, win another 7 in a row. You just got to take care of your business, and hopefully the other team above you slips. But without a stretch like that, because you got to remember, if you win a series, the other team ahead of you is good, and they're probably winning a series. So you're gaining nothing. When you sweep a series, you get +1. When you sweep another series, you probably get another +1 at least. And, so that's like, +2 from where you are, and that puts you within 2 games. So that's what I'm talking about. And I don't know if this team has the ability to hit consistently for 6 straight games to really put themselves in a position to go on that sort of heater. And not to mention that even if they do that, then there's also going to be times where the bullpen completely has a blow-up outing. So It's just, I don't know. It's, one step forward, one step back, one step forward, one step back. That's kind of been the MO of the team.
Yeah.
In the same story. All right. We have more to discuss, but first we have to tell the audience something very important, and that is this. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easiest website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. So join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com.
Once you've done your Supply House purchasing, get to game time. Treat yourself to maybe some comedy, theater, baseball game. Football's coming on. You heard Closky and Kevin. It's coming, people. And you know what? You can use Game Time. And you know what my favorite thing about Game Time is? It's that seat view. You can literally see what you're going to be experiencing on the app. It's amazing. 2024, baby. Let's go. So today, take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets using Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for 10 plus 10, which is $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Evan, turning to a more positive lens with the Rays, Taj Bradley. Ulises brought it up earlier this week, and the possibility and likelihood that he could be the opening day starter in 2025 and maybe even beyond that for the next couple of seasons. But Taj Bradley, talk about being on a heater. He is certainly on one. He is one of, if not the best starter since June. He's got a sub-1 ERA. That is Paul Skeens territory. Better than Paul Skeens. What has led to this turnaround, and do you buy our viewpoint that he may be Rays opening day starter 2025? You're on mute, sir. Let's resolve that right here.
My bad. I put myself on mute during the ad reads. I didn't want to have anything interject in there.
Ulises has done that more times than Jose Siri has struck out. So no harm, no foul.
Damn, Ulises, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be like hyperbolic because this is an unreal stretch from Taj Bradley. And he certainly is showcasing like top of the order ace like qualities. I mean, he's got 4 pitches working for him. Mark Topkin of the Tampa Bay Times did a great story on him and just how he kind of like reluctantly turned to pitching, and that the Rays scout who knew him never thought that he would project to be like a 98, 99 mile per hour guy. He hit 100 on the gun the other day. But he's in the strike zone. He's really kind of developed his 4-pitch mix. Certainly, I believe his cutter. There's one of his pitches has really taken off. Kyle Snyder, tip of the cap to him, the genius kind of guru with all the, I imagine him like in Dexter's laboratory, just kind of concocting everything. He's just, they found something that worked. And with his pitches and the tunneling that's working into his favor, teams can't decipher what's coming. And that's the key really to any success for a pitcher. Tunneling has such a big part of it. Right now he looks like a guy who can start opening day next season. I just want to see it continue throughout the entire year. Right. This is all very reminiscent of Shane McClanahan when he earned that All-Star start, going into that All-Star game, sort of the historic trends that he was going on. I have on my work computer, I have some of the numbers that he did, but that's what I've been thinking about watching Taj Bradley is like, oh man, I forgot this is what it was like to watch Shane McClanahan a couple of years ago, right? Like we haven't seen Shane really at his peak in 2 seasons pretty much, but or a season and a half, I'll say. But when Shane is right, like this is what we're watching. Just someone who's pew, 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 right in the zone, gives up one run, 7 innings, 8-9 punchies, maybe a walk or two, call it a day, hit the showers. Thank you so much. It's just the fact that Taj is so young and still kind of like raw. That's really exciting. And I hope that's what we're going to see with the development of Gary Gilhill, one of my favorites in the Rays organization, very recently put into the top 100 in Baseball America. And
hang on, hold that thought. Are you more bullish on Gary Gilhill or Chandler Simpson in the major leagues?
Different skill sets. Gary Gilhill has a higher ceiling than Chandler Simpson. Okay. Chandler Simpson is going to be so much fun to watch. His ceiling, though, is very limited. He's a singles type hitter. He's going to steal maybe, 70, 80 bases. It's going to be like a ton of fun to watch. Yeah. But otherwise, what you're getting with Chandler Simpson. Gary Gilhill is, again, just the same thing with Taj, just kind of this raw arm that they drafted in the mid rounds. They also try to do it with Trevor Harrison, who, out of he's a local product. I forget exactly off the top of my head where he hails from, but maybe like Newport Richie, something around there, just somewhere in that area. But this is what the Rays have done recently is they find kind of like these projectable arms in high school and develop them properly. And Taj is like the gold star on all of it of hey, what we're trying to do, I think we got something here. We know what we're looking for out of these high schoolers that are probably under-scouted. And the only, even look at Xavier Isaac, a guy who was completely under-scouted from where he was drafted. I mean, the guy was going to Florida, so it's not like he was a nobody. But nobody had him as a first-round grade, I'll tell you that. And now look at, kind of where his prospect rankings are and how he's developing. So, man, I'm riding the Taj wave. I just don't want to get caught up in it too much until we kind of get to the end of the year. But if you had to give me a bet of who's starting opening day next season, I do think that Taj would be leader in the clubhouse right now with Shane McClanahan there in the periphery. The only reason I kind of am hesitant is that Shane's, of course, working himself back from a very significant injury. And in doing so, you got to give him a little grace and time, and they might not want to put that pressure on him immediately. But I think that that's a fair comment to make and a fair assumption.
And, I think one of the things I've really enjoyed about this organization when it comes to opening day, it's not given. It's earned. In 2010, James Shields has such a bad season. I mean, people were calling him, instead of James Shields, James Yields with his 5+ ERA.
Big game James.
Big game James. And then David Price gets the opening nod in 2011. And they both have great seasons. But guess what? 2012, it's Shields. It's like you appreciate that the opening day guy earns it. And I think if Taj, like you say, keeps this up, I don't think it would be fair to put Shane McClanahan in opening day. I think it would be fair for Taj to get it.
Yeah, and I think like in the future, I think Ryan Pepio is like ace of the staff material. It just has been a very like this season has been. Well, the season that Pepio is having now reminds me of the season that Taj Bradley had a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Not as drastically bad, because I think Taj really hit walls. I mean, he was completely rushed out of necessity. Right. But Ryan Pepio's stuff, like his innate stuff, is elite.
Yes.
And he's going through the motions of learning how to pitch deep into games and, face adversity and find a strike zone and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things that I see in Pepio that like makes me believe he's a future number one, which would push for an opening day start. I just think that Taj is kind of, age is just a number sometimes, and Taj has a year really of like true experience on Pepio in the sense of like going through it, having success, having failures, whereas Pep kind of came up in spurts with the Dodgers and was kind of, nurtured there a little bit in that organization. And I don't say that in a bad way. It's just, it's just a different environment, different pieces around him. It's just different.
Yeah.
Ulises, we have more to discuss, but first we have to tell the audience something extremely important.
That's right. And that is, with summer heating up, people, you have your PTO, maybe you haven't used it. If you haven't used it, guess what? Booking.com is right there for you. And this episode of Locked On Race is brought to you by Booking.com. Everybody?
Yeah.
That's right.
I left my mic on for that.
Let's go, baby. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival's city. Evan, between New York, I'll take New York out. Between Baltimore and Boston, which rival city do you like best?
Baltimore.
Guess what? Then take Evan Closky's tourist experience and get to Baltimore. And you can use Booking.com at Baltimore. And you've got hotels that can look over stadiums. Or you have family-friendly resorts. It's pretty cool. Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. So the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app.
And we have some leftover money from Booking.com. Take that and utilize it on Prize Picks. Baseball season is moving right along, and you can make some even more cash on Prize Picks, whether it's stolen bases, home runs, or hits. Take your pick of more or less and add them to Prize Picks entry today. You can turn $10 into $100 with just a few taps. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. So get in on the action with Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. So good. I'll repeat it again. That's code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for an up to $100 match on your first deposit. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. All right, Ulises and Evan, before we move to brief Closky on the clock, I just want to touch on one more thing with Taj Bradley. If the Rays sell assets like hotcakes and display that, hey, we're not really going for it this season, do you think they'll begin to perhaps taper back Taj Bradley's workload for the remainder of 2024? Say, all right, we're not going to really stretch you out to 7 innings. We're going to keep you 5 2/3. Maybe
you got to remember, Taj already missed a chunk of action with that injury entering the season. So, between Taj, between Taj, between Pepio, between Vaz, all these guys have already been managed to an extent. Like, if it gets to the end of the season, because they shut down Taj maybe for a couple of starts at the end? Sure, but I don't think they have to, especially since he missed the entire first month of the year. So, you got to factor that into the equation. So I think innings wise, he's probably okay. And if nothing, I would assume that they would push him out there every day and maybe limit innings versus like shutting him down. I think that would be more the, hey, you need to get Taj going for the entire season and experience that grind, but you can maybe throw him out there for 4 or 5 innings and call it good.
Yeah.
That's good. Ulises, want to serenade Evan with a Closky on the clock question.
Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock.
Closky on the clock here. Closky on the clock.
Again. Oh, there we go. All right.
Closky on the clock, people. Closky on the clock. We haven't done this in a while. Evan, with the city council vote going 5-3, the Rays fandom sees the light at the end of the tunnel. What do you think are the odds that this next upcoming final vote, I believe July 30th?
For now, July 30th. Yeah.
For now, July 30th. What are the chances that everything just comes plummeting down?
Slim. I'll give you a little bit more of why. The thing is with the city council vote, why that was such a big hurdle is because the amount of money they were putting into it, that is like a lot of it does come straight out of the taxpayers' dollars. You got to remember with the county vote and what they're trying to do is they're taking money out of funds that are supposed to go to tourist stuff, right? Like beach renourishment, sports, entertainment. So that money is specifically for things like this. And if we're led to believe that they've been pushing money into kind of a jar where this money's kind of already sitting there, it's a much easier decision for the county. So it's not like this money could go to education or to any, various important things that a voter would want. This money has to legally go to entertainment, touristy kind of stuff, and this falls right into that bucket, which is why the county, it makes it a very easy decision to say, sure, why not?
Very cool.
Very good.
I like that answer.
All right. Evan, where can people find your amazing, amazing work?
At Closky, WTSP, 10 Tampa Bay Plus, 10tampabay.com. We're leading up until the Rays deadline. I should say the Major League Baseball deadline. I do plan to be at Tropicana Field on July 30th when that vote should happen, assuming that the vote is a yes. Hopefully get to hear from some of the players, some of the bigwigs there about what it means to kind of have the stadium finally, come into downtown St. Pete. And then also, potentially being there inside the Trop for some shenanigans that happen on deadline day. So if you want to hear any of that stuff and be up to date, make sure that you follow me at Closky WTSP. You can send me plenty of questions. I'll respond to 99% of you as long as you are not jerks.
Very good. All right, that will wrap up this edition of Locked On Rays. Thanks as always for making us first listen every day. Everydayers. Coming on the next episode of Locked On Rays, more Evan Closky, Friday, fun Friday episode with him. That is all we'll say about that.